Thank you very much. Let me begin also by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this beautiful land of ours and pay my respects to the elders both past and present. Linda Burney, the Honourable Linda Burney, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Walter Cord, MLC, to many distinguished guests here, but I can just name but a few. There's Vic Alhadeff, there's Miller, Norman Seligman, Pastor Ray. Where are you, Pastor Ray? I know he's around, he's probably in the other chamber. And of course the beautiful Lola and many other honoured guests here. Thank you for having me. It is an honour to speak at the 20th anniversary of the Rhona Tranby Trust, looking back at the appalling treatment of Aboriginal people in Australia. We can easily draw parallels between their history and the history of the Jewish people. The late Thomas Paul Rhona and Eva Rhona, who set up the trust for Tranby, could see that the Aboriginal and Jewish peoples share similar histories. Both have suffered persecution, both have suffered dispossession of lands, and both have suffered sheer mass murder, including in the Jewish case, the unimaginable horror of the Holocaust, both of which Thomas Rhona and Eva Rhona survived. Indeed, I hold the firm view that both the Aboriginal people and the Jewish people know a great deal about survival and resilience. To achieve them, a people need pride in their culture, an understanding and appreciation of their history, and just as important, a compassion and care for those less fortunate in one's own and other communities. This is a compassion that I believe that the Aboriginal and Jewish communities have embedded in their psyche, a compassion that now the broader community is the welcome recipient of. Yesterday, I know that my good and esteemed friend Vic Alhadeff from the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies was on radio, and he made a comment that I think is very fitting. Vic said, and I quote, "Memory is an important way in which Jewish people approach social justice." And I know that when I travel around New South Wales and I sit and I talk with people, Aboriginal people, and they tell their stories, it is a major part of the healing and reconciliation process. I imagine that the late Thomas and Eva Rhona were people who had a heartfelt understanding of these commonalities between Aboriginal people and the Jewish people. Thomas and Eva Rhona directed a specific proportion of their estate to be held for the benefit of the Tranby College or the Aboriginal Legal Service, according to the discretion of the trustees of the estate. And the trustees, in their wisdom, established the Rhona Tranby Award and Collection, which is now run collaboratively by the Tranby College and the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies to support the recording and preservation of Aboriginal oral history. And when I was looking at the brochure that was given today, I was particularly inspired by the words on the inside cover that said that each award plants a seed that continues to grow over the years. And I think that is a beautiful and an accurate reflection of really what this does. I'd like to conclude, if you can indulge me, by reflecting on the address by Debbie Evans earlier on this evening, a very moving address, if you don't mind me saying so, Debbie, and an address that made me start to think about my own background. And you know, you detail very powerfully how important the oral histories, the history of your grandfather was to you. And I'm thinking, you know, I am now 40 plus GST, and so much and so much of who I am is really an amalgam of the stories that my grandfather and grandmother told me, the stories that my mother and father told me, my uncles and aunts told me. You know, who I am and where I want to go in my life is really embedded in me through the stories of my elders and who I respect so deeply. So I can see how important this is. The recording of oral history for the Aboriginal people is so important to the Aboriginal community. And particularly, let's think about it, particularly for the stolen generation. I can't begin to imagine a life where I did not have those stories told to me. So it is a real seed of vision and inspiration that 20 years ago somebody had the wisdom, the infinite wisdom, to make a difference, not just to the lives of Debbie, but to the lives of the generations that will come. This trust will be a very, very powerful platform for future generations to understand and know their history, which is so critical to a pathway for reconciliation and in many ways a pathway to truly closing the gap. So let me end by thanking the Rhona Tranby Trust. So on behalf of the O'Farrell government, congratulations on your 20 years, your 20 very successful years. And I thank you for all your inspired work that you have done and that you will continue to do for the future. Thank you.